Hello everybody. New presents for me have arrived from China, which I bought for myself. Anyway, this is a desoldering pump basically. I have one of the mechanical ones which broke. Annoyingly, I managed to knock it off my bench, and the sort of, I don't know how to describe it, the plastic bit that the plunger runs against snapped off, and I glued it back together. Anyway, I ordered a new one. And this one is better because this one has heating element in it. So I figured I was going to do some testing on it to make sure it's not going to me or any of the circuits I'm working on when I'm using it. I figured I might as well show you that while I do it. If we just have a quick look at the packaging here, you can see 36 watts, model number CJ019X, whatever that means. 220, 240 volts. It has a EU plug on it, which I'm going to deal with in a second. On the back, instructions are in reasonable English. I'll try and get it so you can read them. There was a couple of things I think a couple of things were slightly strangely phrased from memory, but nothing is obviously badly worded or anything. I can't think of, basically nothing was obviously weird. Sometimes they have insane things written in them, but this doesn't. Anyway, if we pull this out, have a quick look at it, pretty much what you'd expect. It's a fairly cheap feeling soldering iron with a pump action thing on the end of it. The way these work, anyways, you push this bit in the end, this tip here gets hot, you put it on the solder joint, and then when you press the button, I'll see if I can show you this, the top sticks back out, and sucks in the melted solder through the end of this, up inside here, and then you can take this end bit out and empty it. Anyway, there's a couple of things I want to check with this before I use it. I want to check, there's one major problem with this that some of you will have noticed immediately. I'm sure I noticed it as soon as I took it out of the package. Oh Christ, here we go. But 2 pins, exposed metal. Every other soldering iron should, hold on, just grab a crappy one off my bench shelf here. This one here, for example, you'll see earth, and the end of this is earthed. Ignore the fact this tip is oxidised beyond belief. This is one of my junk soldering irons I use for improper purposes that you should not be using soldering irons for. Anyway, it's not earthed, which is not good. I had to think, but honestly looking at how this works, I don't think I'm going to be able to easily replace the flexness with a 3-core. I just don't think it's a worthwhile thing to attempt to do, because I can't solder these joints because you're soldering onto heating elements, so it's probably going to melt off, and I don't have the stuff to properly make a joint like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some electrical testing to make sure it's safe. Basically check the insulation between this exposed metal part and the pins of the plug. And I will cut the plug off as well and put a British plug onto it, because I don't want to have to use adapters for everything all the time. I like to just have UK plugs on everything that I can. So one moment please while I dig out some of my testy box toys and we'll get into testing. Hi, hello, quick intervention from me, editing me quite a while in the future, but anyway, this is the unit in question after probably 2 or 3 uses. This is a complete piece of shit. Do not buy one of these. I should also say this is a men's project. You don't know what you're doing, don't do this. Don't attempt to do this. If you don't know what you're doing, you need to do work like this, then contact a professional, get them to do it. I did end up changing the flex on this because the one that was on it went on fire. As you can see, burn marks all over the thing. It was not good. I have made this kind of approximately safe. I've put an appropriate flex on it, capped on tape in order to hold it so it doesn't fall back down into here again. This is going to go in the bin immediately as soon as I get a new one that I can use. I just need this to act as a desoldering tool for like the next week or so until the new one arrives. Complete safety disaster. I just feel I need to say that. Okay, back to past me doing the actual work on this. Okay, I have set up here, this is my portable appliance tester. Please ignore this, it is covering over the sticker that has my name, address and phone number and such on it, because I use this on site, so I need it to be identifiable. And I can't bother trying to work out how to do it in post, so I'm just going to cover it the old-fashioned way. Anyway, I have the iron here plugged in with an adapter which I managed to dig out, and the earth bond clamp is set to the end of the iron. So just run a couple of tests on this quickly. I hope you can see this. I'll go down, I'll just do I'll do a single test out, because it would fail a normal test with the plug and stuff, so we'll just do a single test, that's what I'm interested in. Insulation testing, and then start. And we have 199.9, yeah, pass. Okay, so we'll go back out of that. I will do touch leakage as well. This is the important one. This is basically measuring how much current flows back out the tip. So 0.03 milliamps, that's well within the limits. And yep, pass. So I'll come back out of there. And then I'll go up to my custom auto test, and I have my 500 volt. For some reason 500 volt IR isn't a standard test, so we'll run that, and this will do a 500 volt insulation resistance test, which it also appears it's going to pass. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to get another test, we're going to do one more quick thing, and then we should both change the plug. Okay, this is the final test I wanted to do. You can probably see over here I have connected one side of the megger to the tip of the iron, and the other side I've connected to the pin of the plug. This here is my rather old, outdated megger tester, but it's still accurate. I tested it, I calibrated it myself, so I know it's good. I'm going to set it to 1000 volt test, press and hold, and infinity. So this passes. Perfect. So this is all but ready to use, bar one small problem. The European plug, and because I'm in the UK, it won't fit in my sockets. So I have a few options. I have the adapter which I used earlier. I could put that on this, that would work, but that's not particularly convenient. I also have a couple of these lying around, which are, so I'm going to throw it all over the place. These are like, well, adapters basically, except you hardwire them onto the plug. So you open it up, it has the fuse inside it, which is a requirement for a British, the way that British houses are wired. You need the fuse in the plug in order to protect the cable, because otherwise the only thing you have between the load and the transformer in the substation is basically a 32 amp breaker, which obviously will not protect a tiny flex like this. And the way these work is very simple. You just click your plug in like that, you shut this down, and then you do the screw up in the bottom there, and you have a British plug. That's also an option, but again, I don't have many of these, and I keep them for special things where I need both plugs. Certain things I quite like to keep the EU plugs on them. This is not one of those things. So we're going to just do it the old-fashioned way, because I have thousands of these, which are standard British plugs. So here we go, brand new one out the packet from CPC. Very simple this, you take the old plug and gone. That bit, because this is UK, I'm not overly concerned that someone's going to plug this in, but honestly you should break the pins off these and stuff if you're going to throw them out. Anyway, this gets disposed of. We now have the end of a cable, which I will then strip with my knife. In fact, no, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. I need to measure how long they need to be first. So, standard British plug. I'll use my VD screwdrivers because I've got them knocking around the bench. Yeah, there we go. We'll This is not the correct size for this screw. Anyway, we open this up. Inside, 3 contacts, live, neutral, earth. We don't need the earth. We should need the earth, but we don't because it's a piece of shit. But anyway, live, neutral, and fuse. In this case, this has a 30 amp fuse in it. That's way too big. So I have a 3 amp fuse, which I have got here. 3 amps. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop this assembly out the plug, and then I'll take the 13 amp fuse out of it. I will clip the 3 amp fuse back in again, and then that can get put back into the plug. There we go. I will then measure how long this needs to be. So we're going to need to go around like that, so about that much. And what I will then do is bend it over tightly, take my knife and gently score the outer jacket of the cable until I see the inner core, like that. And then I will bend it the other way. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. This is probably not in focus, I'm sorry about that. The autofocus on this is not great. Anyway, we'll do that, and then hopefully with a bit of wiggling we should be able to get, go on, there we go. We have 2 wires now. Brown wire is the live and blue wire is the neutral, and bloody hell, those are tiny. Okay, you cannot see how tiny the wires in those are. They are like minuscule. They look like 702. Okay, a 3 amp fuse is not going to suffice. One moment, I'm going to see if I can find a smaller one. Okay, after a short hunt, I'm back. I managed to find this, which is a 1 amp plug fuse. This is the smallest size I'm aware that you can get. I don't think you can get a smaller one than this. These are really, really uncommon. The standard values are 5 amp, 3 amp, and 13 amp. And then you get rarer values like 7 amp, 10 amp, 1 amp, and 2 amp. These are not standardly available. I buy mine through RS Components. This one is probably like 2 or 3 times as old as I am. These are ancient. They're just ones I happen to have knocking around, but anyway, it will still work. So because of how tiny the conductors in this cable are, I'm going to use that. It should still be enough. What am I talking about? Of course it's going to be enough. 1 amp at 240 volts is 240 watts. And this is only drawing 36 volts, of course it'll be fine. And during that cut I should have got my... I should have got these out as well because I would have needed them. Let's see, how long does this need to be? So the brown wire has to go to the one with the fuse, and the blue wire is going to have to go to the neutral. Oh, these are way too long, never mind. Okay, so I'm going to mark that one there, and I'll mark that one there. The insulation on these is so soft. This is really, really unusual. I've never seen... I'm just going to... Yeah, okay, they're stripped fine. The insulation on these seems really, really, like, unusually soft. I'm scared I'm just going to cut them though when I try to strip them with these. Bloody hell, look at that. I don't know, can you see that? Do I have a bit of paper somewhere I can put behind it so you can try and see? Look at how thin that is. Although at the same time, what do I expect for buying cheap crap off AliExpress? Where's the smallest ferrule that I have? That's still too big. Yeah, these are the kind of ferrules I would normally use on like putting 702 in panels. One second. Even those are still too big. Wow. That's ridiculous. These are on the large side. They'll do anyway. These you would need ferrules on cable this small going into a turbine like this. This is beyond dodgy though. Like, really, you should not have a cable this thin being terminated into a 13 amp plug. If I was being more professional about this, I would just write off the equipment, to be honest. I would just say that this was fit for the bin. That needs to be slightly longer. But because this is for me, not for a customer or anything, I'm gonna just do this anyway. Okay, and then we crimp. Ordinarily you wouldn't put boots on the ferrules like this because they can make it difficult to fit into the thing, but because this plug doesn't have much else in it, it doesn't have an earth, I'm going to be fine to fit these in. So I'm going to put the... oh, these are quite tight from the factory. Anyway, you're going to loosen off the line and the neutral terminals. Bloody hell, these are tight. Yeah, those are not normally quite that tight. I don't know what's going on with those. These ferrules are probably going to need to get trimmed down a bit because they're too long. Yeah, so I'm going to chop a little bit off the end there to make it fit better in the terminal. These are so fiddly and awkward. I was thinking that actually when I was bending this cable, I was sitting there thinking this feels really flexible. Like, this feels unusually flexible. I was fearing it would be like a steel flex or something and it would be really stiff. And I was sitting there bending, this is really flexible. The reason it's so flexible is it's not got bloody any copper in it. And it's almost entirely silicone or PVC or whatever the insulation they've used on this is. And it feels like it might be silicone, it's so soft, but I doubt it because that's expensive, and clearly with such thin copper they are going for the cheapest possible. So we'll just do that. Quick test, give each of them a quick pull and we're good. So this is where I then fumble around trying to fit the fuse holder back into the plug with all the cables and everything. We then have to pop the cable into the strain relief gland like that. Make sure that this is not going to get caught in the screw when I put the top back on the plug. And there we go. That's done. I'm just going to give these screws one last tweak up to make sure that they're nice and tight, and then we have a good connection. Then I will put the top back on the plug, and we are out with the old and in with the new. By the way, I found this when I was looking for the screwdriver earlier because it was in a box. I found this, which is the thing this is replacing. Basically, this is exactly the same as this, it's just that that has a soldering iron on this bit here, instead of having to use your external soldering iron to melt the joint. But that was, in fact, fairly quick and painless. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.